Back in 2015, I got this super cheap, clunky Android tablet at a drugstore. I never thought to put any care into it, so I more or less just used it as a guinea pig. That piece of junk was put through the ringer. I rooted it pretty early on to get access to as many third-party marketplaces as possible, because I wanted free stuff. But there are a hell of a lot of homebrew apps up for grabs too. One of those apps had always come off as strange, Talking Gumball. I don't even remember downloading it. Its main alert to me was that it would never start. It's foggy now, but I remember this ancient angry emoji paired with some text along the lines of "wait your turn." I'd be checking in pretty regularly just to see if it would ever be my turn. One day, it was. I want to start off by saying that it was very oddly designed. It was clearly using a custom 3D model. I'd give it more credit if it wasn't for how scuffed and off model it looked. Albeit, he was sitting on some chair and the background didn't look like it came from the show at all. And all I can remember about the background was that it was a graffiti-covered brick wall with a concrete floor. I distinctly remember 4 buttons at the top of the screen, 2 of which I remember pretty vividly: talk and hurt. The bluntness of the latter made me a bit uncomfortable. The game itself was noticeably quiet. None of the idle animations had any sort of sound attached. I tried talking to Gumball. He responded in the same high-pitched voice as every game in this niche, and blatantly lacked the talking animation. He just kept drifting in his chair. I got bored of this pretty quickly. I was a bit into interactive body and the like, so I gave in and tried out the hurt button. Nothing happened for a good few seconds. Just when I started to think the button was non-functional, a blowtorch went off from the right of the screen, straight into Gumball's left arm. I remember him squirming. It was as if he was strapped to his chair. The flame quickly burned a black hole in his shirt as the squirming became more and more violent. In a panic, I turned the tablet on its face and took a minute to bask in the silence. It felt like my ears started to swell in that moment. It felt like Gumball was real. It felt like I had turned my back on a friend and left him to die. Even at 9 years old, I felt a moral obligation to face it head on. I turned the tablet back up. It was still going. Gumball was nearly convulsing at this point, desperately trying to get out in a panic. I looked through the UI for any sort of option to reverse what I did. There wasn't. All I was left with was the hurt button, and with no better option. I pressed it. I prayed. That's when a saw blade shot out of the top left. It struck his leg. I threw the tablet in shock and stumbled to the corner of my room. I felt sick with my head in my hands. I couldn't help but stare at the tablet. The screen was pitch black and visibly cracked. It was broken. In fear that my parents would try to repair it and find out about what I did, I hid it inside an old binder and claimed I lost it. It was a cheap tablet anyways. Years later, I've chalked it up to a horror game trying to bait kids. I always bring it up to my friends as a haunted game. It's nothing more than a bit at this point. Recently though, I stumbled upon the tablet again while flipping through old schoolwork. Miraculously, it started charging, finally being able to investigate this game a little more. I took a few pictures to show my friends and it turned on, only to be met with no Gumball and 3 words: camera feed unavailable. I honestly had no idea what the message was implying, to be honest. If I'm being honest here, this was a pretty damn interesting story, and honestly, a pretty unique one at that. And yes, this was technically my first non-lost episode creepypasta narration. Okay, I guess it was still technically about a TV show, but still, my first non-lost episode one, of many to come, so yeah. Anyways, enough yapping, and let's actually get into the review. So first of all, the premise. It was actually pretty cool, the whole thing of, a tablet and this app being installed. Yeah, sure, maybe some people may think it's a bit cliche about, the app just being there on the tablet, and, then they trying to click it. However, it was, like, saying, wait your turn, with an angry emoji, but, I mean, it didn't really bring the story down, and, actually put some speculation, this tablet that this person bought, like, was it, like, some thing that was never meant to be released to the public? I mean, they said that it was like some kind of, not obviously custom 3D model, but still, a rather unique premise of like, maybe something like a test thing, like a prototype or something. And also something I'd like to talk about are the images, because the images are actually really well made and look really realistic, as they were taken off an actual iPad or tablet or whatever. And I like the attention to detail on the whole cracks, because how the protagonist said how they threw it and cracked, and like it got cracked, and I really like the attention to detail on that. And I don't really know how they made the images. They probably used like some software or something, but it was still really good, and something I like to commend quite a lot, if I'm being honest here. Now let's talk about the actual app itself, of the whole thing of there being a hurt button and the protagonist pressing it, and a blowtorch coming out and striking Gumball's arm, and then like a handsaw come in and them like flipping the tablet on its screen was maybe slightly cliche to some. Honestly, it was quite chilling for me, honestly, because, you know, imagine like being, you know, a little kid and seeing something like that on like a tablet you bought, and you know, yeah, sure, like a lot of gore and stuff and a lot of creepypastas is quite cliched again for me, honestly. In this, it kind of works because it doesn't go over the top of it, and other creepypastas go gore, 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 and then just unnecessary violence. But still, and something I'd also like to mention is how I really like the premise of it, like how, you know, Talking Tom and all that kind of apps, so like being an app sort of based on that is really good to be honest, and something that it'll be cool to see more types of like pastas based on, you know, like more pastas based on like apps and like of like TV shows, you know. That's something I'd like to talk about in regards to like one of the second image is like about the whole thing of them going back onto the app, and it's saying like camera feed unavailable, and of course them not being able to see Gumball anymore. That actually kind of puts it into perspective, like about like, a potential theory of maybe like it might have been like an actual person looking through it. As weird as that sounds and kind of stupid for me, honestly, it is something, because I don't know if this is really true or not. On like Talking Tom, there was apparently something about like you looking into the eyes of like one of the characters, one of the Talking Tom games, like there being like a person in like their eyes watching you. I don't know how true that is. I've not really like looked into it much myself, and I've not tried it, but I just remember hearing that a couple years ago, and yeah, so that could be something that could have happened. I don't know, but yeah, there's yeah, okay, what the hell am I talking about? I'm just making random noises, but yeah. So my final thoughts on the story. It was really cool, really unique, and yeah, a premise that not really many pastas have done in the past. And my final rating of the story would have to be a 9 out of 10. So yeah, anyway, this is a really good story in my opinion, and what did you think of the story? Please leave, like, in the comment section below. I know I've never said that in any of these, but yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching, like, subscribe, turn on notification bell so to the next video. Comment space if you made it this far and see you next time. Bye!